I feel as I acquire more memories, it becomes harder to keep track of them all. Everything merges and I find myself searching more and more as I try to determine where and when, and sometimes if something even happened. These videos are my answer to that. They are what's really stuck with me about the places I visit, and in Antwerp, Belgium, that was the stories, the myths, the folklore. But before I share a few stories with you, I want to give a little disclaimer. I had a few different people tell me these stories, and with each telling, new details, some different, many the same, and with them a bit of insight into what was profound for the storyteller. So now, when I share these stories with you, they may be slightly different to the versions you know, or the versions you've been told, and that's okay. It's part of the beauty of oral storytelling. The story changes and evolves as we keep it alive. You gotta come too. I want to start with the story of Brabo, or the legend that sometimes is attributed to how the city got its name. As it goes, a long, long time ago, a giant used to live near the city and spent his time along the river. As sailors, voyagers, travelers came along and wanted to cross the river, the giant would demand a toll. If someone were to refuse, the giant would then cut off their hands and throw them into the river. This went on for many years until a Roman soldier named Brabo came along. He saw the injustice, slayed the giant, then threw his hands into the river with the hands of those he had so cruelly chopped himself. Today you can see the moment where the giant was defeated portrayed on a statue in front of the city hall, and you can find the giant's hand on the main shopping street, as well as additional hands all across the city. You can probably guess how then people have extrapolated that Antwerp, which sounds remarkably similar to handwapen, hand throwing in Dutch, got its name.
It's a hand.
Next is the story of another giant, this time a trickster, a shapeshifter known for causing mischief in the area, and how the city managed to keep him away. As the story goes, Langevaper's pranks started out harmless, but as time went on, so did the intensity of his pranks, until one night he disguised himself as a woman. This woman was well liked and had 4 suitors coming to visit her this night, to ask for her hand in marriage. Long story short, by the end of the night, the trickster had sent them all on fool's errands that resulted in 3 deaths and a suicide. The city could no longer tolerate his behavior, but was at wit's end on how to keep him at bay, until they discovered he had a strong dislike for religious imagery. So images of the Virgin Mary proliferated, Langevaper disappeared, and today you can still see the icons across the city dutifully protecting its citizens. Last is the story of an ironsmith who dreamed of marrying a painter's daughter. Quentin was young and in love. He had become completely smitten with a woman outside of his social standing, but her father would never let her marry someone of his status. So he set out to become a painter, join the guild, and win her father's blessing. So he painted and painted, improving rapidly, until one day, while her father was away and he was visiting the house of his lover, he had an idea that he hoped would fare him well. He went to one of her father's paintings and he added a fly. And as the story goes, the father came home, saw the fly, then, believing it to be real, tried to swat it away. When his hand hit nothing, he was astonished to discover the fly had been painted on. He quickly declared that whoever had painted the fly could marry his daughter. So Quentin presented himself as the artist, and they lived happily ever